Hello, everybody. My name is Lewis Lee, and this is Planning Traffic on the Road. We are rolling the country, me and the wife and the schoolie, and we are stopping at shops all over the country. So if you have a shop or you want to show us your car shows or anything like that, let us know, and we might be in your neighborhood. What up, Ray?
Lewis, I tell you, I got to say right off the bat, I give you 110% credit, dude. You had a plan for years now to do this with the bus, and you put it together, and you're doing it. And even though maybe it's not 100% the way you want it, you're still doing it, and that is phenomenal. I mean, that's people should follow your lead, and especially where hopes, aspirations, and projects are concerned, and
Right.
you just got to do it. I'm very happy to see that.
Oh,
So
man, I appreciate it. I really do, man. It's like you said, it's been years. 3 years working on the bus alone.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we're out on the road. We're in Virginia right now, and we're sightseeing all the history. You know, the wars and the different state or not state national parks and stuff. So
Oh, there's a lot there. Yeah,
yeah, so we're doing we're doing our dream really. This is
nice.
our dream.
No, that's
Um,
great.
so we went to Norfolk, Virginia yesterday. We're about an hour away from there now. But
Okay.
we went down and visited Dan Short from Phantom Works,
Yeah.
and he gave us a tour of the place. And when I tell you this place is no joke, it TV doesn't give it, it doesn't even touch the value of his shop.
I had a feeling, and when we had him on this show and we had him on Motormouth Radio, I asked him both times and said, Dan, from TV, it just looks like your shop is a lot bigger than it appears. He goes, oh yeah, you really have to see it to believe it. And now you're bearing that out that that's absolutely
Yeah.
true.
So we get there and we walk in the front door, and it's like a museum right off the bat. He has stuff when you walk, like the front door is antique front door.
Okay.
And I didn't think to ask him what the building was before he bought it, but it had to be some major industrial building.
He
Like,
did say, I remember asking him, and he did say what it was. It might have been like two. I think part of it was a boat, boat business. But yeah, yeah, with all the brick and the stone. I mean, it just looks like it'd be kind of cold in the winter. I don't know. That's the vibe I got.
well, I was thinking that too, but it might not drop down like it. See, we're used to cold, but I don't think it gets that cold down here. I
Okay.
mean, it might get a little chill because he was showing us his office, and he took the paneling and drywall and all that type of stuff off the wall so he could
Yeah,
show the brick.
down to the brick. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and me and my wife were thinking like, oh man, that'd be cold. But then we started thinking, well, maybe it don't get that cold here.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think I'm warmer here in the winter than you are in Ohio because I'm on the coast. I'm on Long Island, so I'm
Mhm.
I got the beach. Not, and we do actually get that ocean air, the warm air, which does help in the winter. The North Shore now, we're only 25, 30 miles across, 100
Right.
something miles long, but on the North Shore they'll be icy and snowy and frigid, and we'll be over freezing down here. So,
Oh yeah.
and he's right by the water, so that's why it's
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, he's real close to the water too. We
right.
uh we came across the water. Hold on one second. My Google is doing something here. Okay. So we come across the water on the bridge, and as soon as you come under the bridge, his building is like right there. He's like
Oh
real
wow.
close to the water.
Easy to find. Great.
Yeah. So we go into his office, and it's I'm telling you, it's a museum. He has stuff from the 30s, 40s, 50s, old telephones, fans,
Yeah.
just everything. You know what I mean? Like, and when we walked in, oh, we had to walk through a little diner. Like he has a diner in there, like the 50s.
He showed that on TV because that's what he would bring people when they came in to look at the bill. And
Hmm.
they'd sit at the little table and you could see that he had a dime. I didn't know if it was functional or not. It looked like it probably was.
Well, he said that they're waiting on permits, I guess, from the city, but
Oh,
they're going to open it up pretty soon as a diner.
oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. So we walk through this to get to his office. We get in his office, and me and my wife, we love antiquing.
Uh-huh.
So we're looking at all the stuff, pictures, and this antique stuff, and like, oh my god, this is us. This is what what when we travel. This is what we go look at, stuff like this.
Sure, sure.
Even if it wasn't a car place, we would have been happy just to go through and look at the antique stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Gotcha. Oh, that's good. I'm glad you got down there because a lot of us have wanted to go. And all the times I went down south, I'm coming up to Washington, and you see, the cutoff for Norfolk. It's like, I think it's maybe 30 miles or something off
Yeah.
95. I don't know. I don't remember the exact, but it was in striking distance. Like, told my wife, I said, man, we make a right turn. We're going to Dan Short. She goes, keep going home. We got to get home.
Listen. You got to give her some sleeping pills and take over there, because I'm telling you now,
You're right.
it's well worth the get hollered at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I believe it. I believe it.
So I'm still on the building part of it. So the building, it's like a manufacturer building. It has skylight throughout the whole top. The whole top is skylight, right?
Yeah.
So the natural light's coming in, beautiful, right? Then it's coming past a catwalk that runs the whole length of one side, and he has like the old not pulleys, but like not what do you call them?
Well,
like the cranes where you
like
would
snatch
pick up
blocks, block and tackle.
Yeah. And you have a thing that runs down the whole center where you could use them all through the whole building.
Right.
And so he gives me and my wife a tour, and cars, just beautiful cars all over the place.
Yeah.
Boats hanging from the ceiling. This place is so big, he has big giant boats hanging. When we first walked through, I didn't notice them because I was looking at the cars and stuff. So we come back around into that part of the building. I'm looking up. I'm like, man, there's boats hanging from the ceiling.
Wow.
Planes. He got planes in there.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's incredible.
And I'm sure he's a very, very gracious host too. He seems like that kind of guy.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
I think I got to take a drive down and kidnap Matco Man and bring him up there. We'll go up there together.
All right. So I got to tell you about Brian here. So I offered to take him to dinner.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he come up missing. I'm like, Brian, I'm coming through. Where you at?
Really? Uh-huh.
Like, Brian, I want to take. We could do lunch or dinner or something. I didn't hear from him for a couple of hours, and then I was already through.
Well, I want to hear him plead his case.
Yeah, I ain't gonna put him on tonight.
You leave him. Oh, he's pointing his finger.
Yeah, we rode through there. It was raining all the way down, man, and so we get into DC, and there was it was nowhere to park. We found a couple places we wanted to go visit, but man, the traffic was terrible. It was raining. We couldn't find nowhere to park.
And you're in a bus.
I was in a bus pulling the Jeep. So I was like, so next time what I'll do is I'll find a campground or somewhere outside and then drive the Jeep in.
Right.
We can go, sightsee.
Well, Brian can tell you about that. I know they've always had DC kind of locked down, and even more so in the more, more modern years. They really locked the damn place down. Yeah.
So we cut through DC pretty quick. We were there probably an hour, and then got out of there. I wanted to hang out with Brian and buy some of his old tools, but we didn't.
Oh yeah.
I had a whole pocket full of money. I was like, man, I'm about to buy Brian out so he didn't have to work the rest of the week.
Oh, he doesn't know it, but when I get down there to see him, I plan on bringing a bucket full of cash. I plan on coming back with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, man. I was like, I'm about some tools.
Oh yeah, boxes and buckets, boxes. I don't care what. Put it in whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get him on and see what he has to say.
All right. Yeah.
You have to give me more than, hey, I'm an hour and a half away from you in the pouring down rain. Man, I'm glad you guys kept driving, dude. It was terrible the last 3 days here.
Well, I don't think you're going to have any lunch outside. I think you're going to go.
Oh, I know. Well, actually, I was like, I don't know. anything about RV, that type of, where to park. And the only person, my wife has, from all the Girl Scout stuff, there's a couple places around, and I'm like, man, she's a bed. She's sleeping. You want me to go wake? I said, man, let me see if I can find. And then it was like, dude, I have no idea.
What time did you shout him out, Louis? Was it 2 in the morning? What time was he looking for you?
That was.
I think I hit him in the morning, like early in the morning.
No, that was like 9 o'clock at night, man.
Oh, it was the night before? Yeah.
Yeah, it was the night before. He was like, hey, man, I'm over here. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know anything about that stuff, but.
Well, I mean, you can park a bus on a street. You don't need special parking just to park the damn thing,
But man, it was nowhere on the street. It was bad in DC.
Man, it's terrible in DC, dude.
Oh, in DC, yeah. No.
Yeah.
So what I was going to do is, I belong to this app. It's called Harvest Host, and people host their properties where you can park your RV on. That's where we're at right now, at a property.
Nice.
And they also travel too, and then they share host. So I was looking around DC, man, but the closest was, man, an hour and a half away. So it kind of didn't make sense for us to stay. So that's why we cut through and kept moving.
Yeah, well, I tell you one thing. The rain, we had flooding. Actually, I had usually it's on the back side of the house. But like the wind was it was like the front. So I had some unwanted water in the garage. I mean, It was just. And then today, actually, they were calling for more today, and it actually cleared up. And it was like almost like you don't want to come to DC in August. Because, it's like a swamp down here. The humidity is so high. But, man, as soon as that sun popped out and the ground's so wet around here, dude, it was miserable today. I mean, the humidity was just – that's why I have the bad hair day. I mean, it was just terrible. And but it was funny. The next morning, I told Jenny, I said, man, Lewis is in town. And, man, this is a wrong time to be trying to do anything in D.C. because, you go down to the mall and you can see go through the museums or whatever. But like you said, I was like, dude, I don't even know where you could park close enough that you didn't have to drive an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, the traffic here is just a nightmare.
All right, well, you know what, Brian? You won't have to worry about it. When I roll up on you, I'll have something I can park in your driveway.
Oh,
go down with a bus.
You come with a U-Haul.
Yeah, I'll pick that up on the way out. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was telling my wife, I was like, man, I'm going to get me some tools, man. I'm going to buy some stuff off Brian.
I looked up on Phantom Works, though, and I thought he had said that one of the buildings or the building was something to do with tobacco. I thought it was an old tobacco.
I know he said something. I can't remember what it was.
It says on the website that it's 52,000 square feet.
God, that's crazy.
So, that's huge. And
each section, like his metal shop is probably, probably 100 by 100.
Wow.
Easy.
And then the wood shop. I thought he had said something that I thought it had to do something with tobacco. It was an old tobacco thing.
Right. Sure.
But if he owns a whole block, who knows how what else that he inherited or added on. But
right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just glad, Lewis, man. I was like, man, I could see now that on Lewis's scale of coming to Maryland would be like only a C- because the weather sucked the last 2 days.
It rained from Ohio all the way down to DC, and then we cut through, and where did we stop at? We were in Virginia when we stopped. And it rained the whole time, that whole night. The whole night it rained. It was crazy.
You got good windshield wipers?
Yeah. Yeah,
I
old
was
Betsy
like,
did good.
Well, so I'll say this, Lewis. This is a lesson learned. You know, being a free spirit, wheeling around at will. You know, things don't always click. You
Yeah,
know.
you gotta plan it out a little bit, but you know what I mean.
That's good.
Yeah.
That I mean, when I was like, hopefully, when you said, that I guess I saw your thing when you guys were at Walmart or Target. No, you guys had gone to Target.
Yeah.
And I was like, I said, man, that's a whole hell of a lot better than around here because.
Yeah, we were in Fredericksburg, I think.
Fredericksburg. I've stayed there. Boy, Brian, you get everybody rolling up on you, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey,
Jeez.
I'm on the main drag. You can't,
Yeah.
I can't hide. So
I'm saying, everybody pulls up on the Matt Go man.
I just wish I had a place to put you all. That's the only problem.
I just need a 40-foot piece of driveway or grass.
And your wife is saying, "Thank God we don't have a place to put everybody."
I know.
Oh God!
Well, my driveway's big enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's crazy.
My driveway's long enough, but
yeah,
like I said,
I don't want to impose, because then you can't walk around naked and all that stuff. So I don't
oh yeah, with a house full of women, I do that. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think I
So I got a video I'm going to show here now from his shop. I'm just going to give you a minute or so worth of it because the rest are going to go on the YouTube channel. So if everybody wants to see the whole interview and the tour, I'll have it up probably next week on YouTube. So let me put that up now. Let's see. How do I do it?
Make sure you get the right tape in there.
Yeah, none of the kinky stuff.
It looks like TV.
All right, so here we go. All right, here's some of the collection. I know you all have seen this on the show. Seen this room. This is the famous room where stuff pulls in and people pick up their cars and stuff. This building is incredible. I love it.
Those are Dan's cars right there.
Here's a chief and
Take
high
a lot
command.
of money to restore a building like this.
Look up on the ceiling, the boat's hanging.
But
it's
well worth it, I think.
Yeah, I thought those
What
were
do you think, babe?
Holy shit.
It really is. So Dan said he's rode in boats like this. A little bit too fast for me. I didn't realize those were wood. We're probably gonna go out the side, babe, to show him the bus.
He has old Harleys there. He has a section that like an apartment that's all 50 air stuff.
So this would be like an everyday driver.
I remember when they restored that on TV.
Yeah.
You gotta take that stuff down and blow the dust off them.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What was behind that door, Lewis? That doorway.
That is the wood shop.
Okay. Wow. That's not fair. We need more.
I got a whole bunch, man.
I can't wait to see that video.
Yeah, I got a good amount.
Very nice.
Oh, I forgot to put Jim on. Sorry, Jim. Papa Squirrel. There you go.
You know, that's right. I think the only thing that would be better, there's a guy's private collection that I got to go to. It's on the Whitestone College Point border. Again, just an unassuming brick building, but he had cars all stacked on double stacked lifts. Probably had 40, 50 cars on one level. Then he had his L88 collection upstairs. And we were there for kind of like a club night, but I noticed there was no dust on anything. And I asked my friend Billy, I said, hey, what does he do? Like, did he uncover all these cars and like clean them all off just for us to come here? He says, no, they don't get car covers. I was like, so how does he clean them? Was he got maid crew? Because he got 100 cars in here. He says, no, he built the building with a positive updraft ventilation system. So all the dust goes up through the filters and then out, and nothing hits the cars. Yeah, this guy is no joke. It was like,
so he built it like a paint booth.
Yeah, pretty much. But low pressure. It's not. You don't even hear it. You don't even hear it. But no dust on anything. It was remarkable. So some guys have all the toys.
Yeah. So one part of his building is the off-grid. Remember, when he was on the show here, he was telling us about his off-grid stuff.
Sure.
So that was a whole nother part of the building, and it's just incredible.
Does he still work on cars?
Yeah. They were building cars while we were there.
Okay.
He has a nice crew. He has a upholstery shop in there. He has a paint shop, everything. The metal shop is huge. The metal working shop, the tools in there were big as cars.
Full service.
Like industrial big boy stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. They're working on, I think they had 5 cars maybe they were working on right now.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, he blew half his day just messing with me and my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made us feel like we were there, like, it was good.
Yeah.
He treated you like the rock star you are?
I don't know about all that.
I know. But, it's good to know. I've met some of the people that I've had on my show, and, actually got to be friends with some and just met some casually. And I've had the same thing. I've had really, I don't think any of them who have been less cordial than they were on the show. These are like real people. And that's nice. To me, that tells me, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm scouting the right people. And you are too, Lewis. It's
So while we're sitting in his office, Joe from Garage Squad calls.
Oh.
And he's like, "Oh, I think you might know this guy." So he puts the speaker on. It's Joe. I was like, "Oh, Joe, I'm coming up to your place, park on your grass."
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. What do you call for a consultation?
I don't know. He's just calling. They're
Right.
buddies.
All right.
It's a small knit community, really. All our friends are their friends. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just as long as it's not so wet, you get that bus buried, because I'll guarantee you getting a big rig towed out.
Oh yeah.
Costs money.
I know. No, you're not telling me. I know.
Last one I
you've had a few, so that's yeah.
Last one I had towed was $1,000.
Wow.
That quick, just done.
Yeah, you might as well just light it on fire. Yeah. So let's think. What else? Yeah. See, I got the video because my wife. We walked through and he explained what was going on and what they were doing, and so I'm gonna put it all on YouTube so you can see everything.
Yeah, you got to. Don't spoil it. Put it on YouTube.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we probably have a good hour interview. Yeah, easy. Yep.
Yeah, I'll cross promote it on my channels too. I'll throw it up there for whatever that's worth.
I appreciate it.
All 3 people can see it.
I met Dan Short at the SEMA show a few years back, and I got to talking to him. At first, I asked his handler, can I talk to Dan? Yeah, but be careful. He likes to talk the arm off a wooden dummy. And most fascinating person I ever met. And he didn't know me from Adam, but
Very
he
smart
treated
guy.
me very nicely.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
He
smart.
was talking about it. And I wonder if he's talking about his show, because he was talking about a car show that place went bankrupt because of being on the air, trying to do everything the way the networks wanted it.
Yeah.
No.
That
He
happens a lot.
he talked about all the troubles he had with his own show. Guys in the shop who weren't on camera, You know, they had to turn their radios off. Everybody had to turn their radios off, so there was some animosity. And you know,
hold on. We got a special guest that's popped in.
oh,
Hold on.
all right.
Evening.
It's the
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
How are you guys doing? Hey, sorry, I just continue on with the conversation. I'm just finishing up work for the night, so I thought I'd join in.
Oh man, appreciate it. I was just telling the fellas how amazing your shop is.
Oh, well, thank you. It's kind of my playground.
Yeah, it is. Beautiful shop. We're trying to figure out, I forgot to ask you, what was it before you bought it? Like, what was it back in the day?
So in about 25 or so when it was built, right just about 100 years ago, it was national linen. So they used it for if you had a restaurant, hospital, or hotel anywhere within the area, all of the linens got washed in that building.
Okay.
So nothing too sexy. And now in about 1990, it got sold. And at that time, it became a multitude of different businesses, including a church and a porn studio. It really was. So, you know, I just have visions every once in a while that if they were doing the two at the same time, it would have meant for some very interesting sermons on Sunday.
hell yeah, or some really heavy retribution.
Right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be hard to give a good example.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I was just telling you know, how me and my wife were so into antiques and everything. We were like in a museum at your place.
Yeah, there's a lot of old stuff there, isn't there? I mean, it's just about 60,000 square feet, and it's mostly filled with old stuff.
Yeah.
So, but you realize that it owns me, right? I don't really own it. It just kind of owns me.
Right.
So
yeah, the thing I think about, Dan, is the legacy end of it, of like, you know, because I'm thinking about that now, like where does stuff go? Where is stuff going to go after me? And that's on a scale that I can't even comprehend, that I got a lot of junk. So
yeah, you know, a buddy of mine, you know, he said, you know, they say he who dies with the most toys wins.
yeah,
But in fact, I'm pretty sure he who dies with the most toys just dies.
yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're right. Getting rid of the stuff is going to be a challenge. I part of me doesn't want to leave my wife with that burden. And although my sons do want several of the cars, I'm pretty sure they don't want most of the stuff. There's just, you know, again, remember, Lou, you didn't see everything. I didn't take you upstairs to show you all the spaces upstairs. So and that's where more of my crap is.
I love that crap. You know, it ain't crap to me. It's like, that's what, when me and my wife go travel, we look for antique stores and stuff like that to go look at.
Well, you can see I've rummaged through a few antique stores myself.
Yeah.
And at some point it's going to be a yard sale.
Yeah.
Oh God, but it's going to be a hell of a yard sale.
Yeah, it will. Several people have come in wanting to run auctions and do things, and at some point I'll probably do that.
Well, that's where that old saying goes. We're just simply caretakers.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
so, but look, I'm sorry I interrupted. Why don't you guys? I'll just, you guys keep on your conversation, and so Lou, I invited you out for dinner tomorrow night. I'm not sure if you're going to take me up on it. I'm out at the marina right now working on my boat, so still the invitation is open. And with that, let me turn it over to you guys.
Okay.
Well, we were talking about you, Dan. I mean, we were answering your questions, and we don't even know if you were telling the truth or not. So, I mean, we got the facts. But you know, you're among all of us hoarders. As you can see, I've started, and of course, you know, like you said, antique stuff all over the place. I just wish I had the square footage that you had. So at least it could be out. That's what my wife gives me a bunch of crap for. She goes, "You don't even have the stuff out," and I said, "Well, I don't have any place to put it." But I wish I had the square footage to do that.
But you realize the more square footage you get, you still fill everything to the same clustered amount of stuff. You just, if you double the space, you still double the stuff. You don't just, you don't organize it.
Don't say that, because that's the line I use all the time. If I had more space.
But we don't let that part out. But unfortunately, my wife is too smart. She knows that. That's why I'm contained to just the garage. So
yeah, and that's the way to go. I've trust me, I've got a pretty impossible situation to deal with. At some point, I'm going to have to deal with it. But when I mean, you'd have to figure it out in tonnage. It would take something like 50 to 60 tractor trailers to move me at this point.
Wow.
And so it's too much stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll just die and let somebody else deal with it.
I was going to say that. Maybe it's just better just to die and just leave.
We got a guy
out of one man's hands. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
hey Dan, do you have two windows open on your computer? We're getting an echo.
No, I'm on my phone. I apologize. Here, I can take it off of. Can I take it off of speaker and speak straight into it?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me how it says mic. I can turn the mic on and off.
No, that's okay.
Is this better if I get really close to the phone?
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, sounds good. So
sorry,
you're on your boat right
Yeah.
now?
By the last time we were on the boat, so it's got a dual pressurized water system, and one of them sprung a leak, and as soon as it did, it started flooding the engine bay, so I had to shut the whole system down, and so that's what I spent this evening doing, was getting the water system set back up and a few other things. So I actually have air conditioning, hot showers, and so I can actually stay on the boat and at some point take a shower. So,
good.
So we were wondering how many cars you have in going in the work process right now at the shop. How many cars you have in queue?
So we keep about 50 in play at any given time.
50. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were at one point doing 100, but I'll be honest, 100 was just too much to deal with. So 50 is actually a pretty comfortable number.
So how many people manage those 50 cars?
We have a dozen people total at the shop. That's it.
Okay.
And trust me, I'm much happier with a dozen than I was with 35.
Yeah, I
bet.
Life is simpler, easier, better. And believe it or not, you make more money off of 12 people than you do off of 35.
Wow.
No doubt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even that, so the internet's wrong. You're not out of business.
Yeah.
That was one of my fears about leaving the TV show, was that instantly everyone was going to say, well, if he's quit the TV show, they've quit the shop. And so I did as much damage control as I could. And I mean, most people get it, but yeah, there are plenty that's, think that we went out of business because we stopped doing the show.
Well, I mean, in this day and age, a simple internet search quells that anxiety. You have to be a dope not to know how to do that. So that means a customer you don't want.
And I'll tell you that leaving the show was probably the best decision I ever made. There was a part of me that loved sort of the feedback I got from people on it, but I told Lou a little bit, and he and his wife were hanging around. The show is really, really tough to do, and you made so many enemies doing a show. Well, enemies is probably a bad word. You made a lot of people who thought that they should have, your money, and you just get attacked by everyone.
Uh-huh.
So leaving the show actually restored our sanity.
Yeah.
I remember the last time we talked, you talked about that, and I can understand that. And of course, I always laugh about the stuff on the internet because even back when I worked on cars, it was like, well, I read on the internet if I did this, I got 100 horsepower. And, you're looking at them like, dude, but it said it on the internet, so it's got to be true, So that was the end of all end, and I just thought it was funny. You read that stuff, or every once in a while you pop up in my feed and it'll have something about that, and I just kind of chuckle about it because I know it's not true.
I unfortunately still to this day spend most of my time on the phone trying to give some level of education to customers who want, they have expectations that are just obscene. Like I got a call, let's see, this is Thursday, it was on Tuesday. A man called me up and he said, I've got a 31 Model A, and I want to do a full-on resto mod, LS3, Art Morrison chassis, independent front and rear suspension, blah 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 blah. Now, if anybody in the audience here has ever built one of those, it's easy to drop 150 grand into parts on that build. I mean, that's not a hard build to. That's not hard to spend 150. That's kind of where you enter, and you can certainly drop a lot more than that. And so this guy's telling me all of his dreams and desires, and I said, look, let me just ask you a question to make sure we're at least on the same subject. What's your budget for that? And of course he's got a $50,000 budget for a car that the pallet of parts is going to run triple his budget. So I find it hard to believe how many people still don't get what it costs to build cars. Anybody here built an engine lately?
It's kind of funny. I just did a break-in with my friend on his Chrysler engine over the weekend. We were discussing what each of us just spent to build our engine. And I mean, we're both under 10,000. But years ago, that would have been, we were both at around 6 because we both did a lot of stuff ourselves. And years ago, that would have been obscene, but that's a good price now. That was a very good price.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm watching $10,000 to $20,000 engines all day.
Sure, I believe it.
It's not hard, and we just built a Hemi. We got 50 in the Hemi.
Steel crank Chevrolet motor.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's going to be 10 grand.
So Dan, with a guy like that, would you do something more like, instead of having him follow up the car he has, maybe push him towards, hey, why don't you take the money out and buy something that's already built, and maybe use it as a starting point if it's got good bones.
I always do, but they don't want to. They want to take the thing that they picked up on Craigslist last week for $300, and they want to build that instead.
Right.
And you can't stop them.
Yeah.
Has the guy ever actually sat in a Model A, much less put a Model A with a bunch of horsepower on it down the road? Or was
Paul, we can't hear you.
Well, yeah, you're really low.
Your volume's low, Paul.
I said, has this guy ever driven a Model A? Can he fit in a Model A? Has he ever driven one with any power?
Oh no, and has anybody here ever driven a 500 horsepower Model A or Model T?
Certainly I've driven a stock one. That's about it.
20. This one doesn't have that much power, but I've driven a Model A that had every bit of 400, 420, and they're a handful. That is not something. That's not just a toy that you can go and have an LS motor with a blower. The thing's 2,000 pounds.
Yep. And it's also a short, narrow wheelbase.
Well, it's longer wheelbase.
Especially the front. The track, yeah.
It's just not enough car to handle the horsepower.
Well, I mean, as a shop owner, your job isn't necessarily to dissuade him from building the car of his dreams. It is to keep him on a realistic price point, price scale. I end up doing it a little bit with people I just do restoration work for, where they think that, they see stuff on TV. That's kind of that magic work, and they think that everything happens fast and even a conception of price.
Actually, I got 2 questions for you. We'll start with the simple one. The building that Phantom Works is in, is that the building that Flatlanders used to be in?
No, Flatlanders is down the street, and their building is maybe 1/10 the size.
Okay.
Yeah,
Flatlanders is still in business?
Well, yes and no. The man who ran Flatlanders years ago died, but one of his employees, and I don't know, I think there was some sort of an interesting deal where he actually got willed the property. But there's a guy, he's about 40, and he's been running Flatlanders for the last 15 years.
Oh, nice. I'm glad
So
to
they
hear
are
that,
still in
actually.
business.
And what is Flatlanders?
I was just going to ask that. Yeah.
Well, that's actually the better question.
Yeah.
15 years ago, they used to be a restoration shop, and they did media blasting. A tree fell on their media blast booth, and they stopped doing media blasting. And as far as restorations, um, I'm not sure if they actually still do work on like building cars. I mean, I see RVs over there, and I know he does work in there, but I think it's mostly on RVs now, like really cool off-grid four-wheel drive RVs, and he tinkers with those. So I think the restoration days are over.
Now I'm going back well over 30 years with Flatlanders. They treated me very well when I was building my first Model A.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good stories about them. I can barely hear you.
I don't know how to turn the volume up. I don't know. Sorry.
No problem. I mean, I can make it out, but if everybody else is hearing you loud and clear, it's just me.
no,
He's light. He's low. I mean, he's light on the volume.
Okay.
So,
So yeah, any fun builds going on out there that are driving anyone nuts?
school bus.
Well, your school bus,
Cadillac.
yeah. Like I said, I just got involved with my friend's GTX again, which is kind of fun. On almost, and it's an original build. It's not a resto mod, so it's kind of refreshing to see something that's got original parts on it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm in the middle of my '66 fastback, and it never everything was going pretty good until you accidentally poke your finger through one part of the frame or this a horn, and you're like, wow, that's it's always surprising. Actually, I had taken that Eastwood stripper thing, and I was going along, and I hit something and blew a big chunk out, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. So
yeah,
we're gonna have to talk about Mustangs later.
I sent Arco a message earlier with a bunch of photos on the C10 frame jobs that I'm doing. I got 3 C10s that we're cutting down long bed.
I just got myself into, well, not just, but a little while ago, I started installing a relay center in my car to tidy things up. And it's a couple months since I was doing it. So I got back to it today. And the problem I'm having is the way the wire convention is, the color convention from what I had in the car and what's on this relay center that I'm installing is different. So now it's a wire by wire installation.
Oh yeah.
It's like make another cup of coffee, break out the schematic.
Build your schematic as you're doing it. You'll hate it now, but you'll love it later.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I did, and that's what I did the first time because the car didn't have headlight relays, and I installed them. So I had to do it the first time, and I don't know why, but every time I buy relays, they always come with the wrong colored wires.
Yeah.
Like whites and blue. I can deal with the blue, but I don't think the red and the black go to positive and ground. I don't know who's making these harnesses. I don't know.
You can unpin that little harness and redo it. It's not. Yeah. It's a little bit of a pain, but it's doable.
Yeah, no, I have all my pin tools. I even made a couple to get into the tighter stuff. But some of them, like an original, like a GM or an OEM relay harness or relay socket, the connectors and the plastic is better, and you can unpin those relatively easy, even though they may be a little tight the first time. But the aftermarket stuff, it isn't always as it doesn't stay. They don't always stay as tight when you put them back in. And I'll pull a pin out again and give it a little snap. So it's always it's a project. It's a project.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The aftermarket world today, it just feels like it's getting worse and worse every day. We can't hardly buy good parts anymore.
No.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah. Well, because we know where it's all coming from. You know.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We start making it here again, things are going to change.
So I go into body shops, and it's absolutely amazing when I'm on my route. And I go in, I'm like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Waiting for more parts, or waiting for the right parts, or things are just." And they have like half the stuff, and the other half is something not even. It's just crazy, and all the downtime it's unbelievable, the waste of time.
Yeah, very unproductive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's hard to predict the future, but it certainly doesn't look great for the automotive industry because few people know how to do the work. The parts are horrible. The ability to critical think, like, we're all probably similar age here in this group, but grab a guy who's 35 and ask him to work his way through a process. They can almost never do it.
Right.
Google gives you the answer, and so they've stopped the ability to sort of critical think their way through the problem set to get to the answer. And I got to tell you, it's tough. I've got highly educated people working for me, and I still struggle with getting them to, like they just want me to tell them the answer to the problem rather than try to figure it out for themselves. And I don't know. I don't think we're going in a good direction. So,
and I've always thought you good guys. I will say this, Dan. It's like being a parent. When you always have the answer for your kid, they're going to learn if they're smart. Let me just go and ask them for the answer, and save me the grief. So it's kind of error by design almost.
Yeah.
My kids used to get so mad at me because I wouldn't tell them the answer. I'm like, "Yo, you got to figure it out," or this, that. And they're like, "Dad, just tell me." I'm like, "No."
Right. I see. That's why I like to make a game out of it. I like to make kind of a puzzle or a game out of it, and let's work towards it together. And I'll maybe kind of nudge you towards the right way, and you'll see the resolution. You put the last piece in place.
So, sounds like the difference between educated and learned.
Well,
because I was that typical guy running around helping my dad go get me a screwdriver. No, dummy, that's the wrong screwdriver. Go get this. I built my first carburetor at 7. I mean, it was a motor 2 barrel, but still, I pulled it apart, cleaned it, put it all back together at 7. So, and I've always been better when I have a tool in my hand and like you said, analyzing it, looking at it, going, okay, what's the problem? What do we need? What's working? And go from there.
Yep.
Where, like you said, so many people nowadays are going, okay, what is this working? Well, it's not going to tell you. Figure it out, dumbass.
Yeah. But I actually can't blame the kids. I mean, I've got several guys working for me that are under 30. And the fact is they just weren't taught to problem solve the way we were. They really weren't. They've since they were, you figure for the last 20 years, the internet has kind of changed the entire world. And so if you've done any learning in the last 20 years, in other words, primary learning, grade school, high school, then you've been given the answer rather than work the problem. And a good friend of mine, actually, she's a relation of my wife. She's a school teacher, and I didn't realize this, but do you know that kids can just snap a picture of a calculus problem and it'll give them the entire problem on how to get the answer? That's all they have to do is use their phone, and their phone will do the calculus for them.
And ChatGPT will write the paper for you. Yeah, I saw that when I was still at my job. Yeah.
Well, one of the other keys is Vince mentioned that when he was helping his dad. He said, "No, dummy," or called him a dumbass. And one of the things in today's society, you don't have to abuse somebody verbally, but a little bit of "hey, dumbass" is actually healthy, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
I agree.
But we're
What was that, Isaac? A little bit of what?
A little bit of being told you're being a dumbass.
They only teach you what to think.
A little bit of being told you're a dumbass is healthy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up with that, and it forced me. It didn't feel good, but it forced me to have to think.
Yeah.
We live in a very kind and gentle world now.
Correct.
I don't. I refuse. I told somebody the other day that I could speak military, construction worker, redneck, truck driver. Which dialect would you like?
There you go.
I have said for 30 years that PC is going to destroy this country. I refuse. I fought against it when they first introduced the term political correctness. It was like, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's working.
Well, it all went downhill after that lady sued McDonald's for $1 billion or whatever when she burnt her because the coffee was too hot.
That was a
because
definite,
and that was the start of the downfall right there.
that was a definite tipping point, Brian. You're 100% right.
Yep.
100%.
And I still think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Brian,
Yep.
it looks like the scales
Well,
are going back.
Actually, if you want truly the stupidest lawsuit, how many of you have heard of Judge Fancy Pants?
Yeah.
I have heard of that. I heard that too.
So,
Yeah.
so I'll give you the 1-minute version. A washed up judge in Washington, D.C., who was basically out of work, went to a dry cleaner and dropped off a jacket and pants, and they had a sign that said satisfaction guaranteed, and they had another sign that said 24-hour delivery, 24-hour service. Well, they misplaced his pants, and he filed a $40 million lawsuit against them for pain and suffering for them misplacing his pants, which they found a few days later. But he proceeded with the lawsuit, and it took 3 years. And the couple who owned the dry cleaning place ended up spending like $300,000 on their defense over a pair of pants and a $40 million lawsuit. That's where we are as a country.
I do remember that story.
Yep.
Yeah. The judge was black, and the dry cleaning place was owned by Koreans.
That's correct.
And it was flagged all over the place. And they even, like, one reporter actually tracked down the judge, started asking him, "Why are you doing this?" And the guy just walked away.
Yeah, the Korean couple offered him, I think, a settlement of $60,000 or $70,000, and he turned it down. Now, in the long run, he didn't get anything, but it still cost the Korean couple about $300,000 to defend themselves, because after the judge lost, he did a Supreme Court appeal. Yep.
Let's tie up the court.
Sounds like you got a Tanya Harding.
Yeah. So yeah, we unfortunately deal with that, and the lawsuits in this country are prevalent. And oh, by the way, I was telling Lou a little bit. So we're actually looking at spending some time in Panama. It's basically impossible to sue someone in Panama.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of nice laws down there.
Yeah.
Speaking of that in lawsuits, Dan, how long has it been since you've been in Arizona? Or in the Tucson area?
Well, in Tucson, it's been a little bit. I was in Phoenix 1 year ago, and I'll be in Phoenix again on Sunday. So, but Tucson, hell, that's been 30 years.
So, anytime that you were down here in Tucson, did you ever hear of a place or try a place called Luke's Chicago Subs?
I'll be honest, it doesn't ring a bell, but I mean, it's been decades.
So there was the old man started it. He still got his shop going on the south side, but there were about 4 locations, and I'm up on the northwest side. His son, he had the Luke shop that was northwest, central northwest. He had to shut it down because every morning it was fighting transients, and so he moved up here. And about a year or so ago, he had to close it down because he was trying to help people who were working for him, and they sued him. And then they changed the name.
I'm gonna call it a night, fellas.
And then they changed the name, and he stepped back. And now it's closed down for good, except for the old man's place down on the south side. And when I talked to the son that had the shop up here, he said he was trying to help somebody out, and it blew up in his face.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. The state of our laws. I've been sued twice, and I'm very fortunate I won both. But you generally get sued over nothing, just absolutely nothing. But people just decide they want money, so they'll go after you and sue you. We've got a little nutrition store about a half a mile from the shop, and they sold a woman a bottle of vitamins, and on the bottle of vitamins, it was not FDA approved. It was just, one of these remedies that you pick up at these little nutrition stores, and they made a claim on a bottle, like makes you feel better or something. I don't know, some innocuous claim. And this woman I know, and I don't like her, she bought the bottle. She said it didn't make her feel good, and she sued and won a $250,000 fraud lawsuit because they misrepresented the product, and she won a $250,000 because she said it didn't make her feel good.
That's disgusting. But I have to say, it may be a little bit of a fault of the manufacturer, because usually on the bottle it says 100% refund if not satisfied. So here's your refund, go away.
But
wow, crazy.
It unfortunately it doesn't work that way.
No.
If you make a claim, like here's something. When I was sued the first time, they subpoenaed every receipt for every part that had gone into their car, and the attorney told me, he said, if one receipt is off by 1 penny to your favor, they will win the lawsuit.
Oh, wow.
Fortunately, not one receipt was even 1 penny off. So we won, but that's how crazy it is. If you produce a receipt and you charged $1 and it cost you 99 cents, and you said we're doing this at cost, then that's fraud, and you could be sued for $1 million over a penny, and that's real.
Wow.
So maybe what we need is less litigious happy judges out there, or lawyers, and get to a court of common sense.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. Are anybody? So what is the definition of fraud?
When you trick somebody into something.
There you go. So let me ask you, what is unintentional fraud?
A mistake.
Yeah, when you do it on accident.
Okay, so in other words, if you give me $1 for a drink that costs 69 cents, and instead of giving you back 31 cents, I give you back 30 cents. And I don't even realize it. I missed the penny. Are you aware that in Virginia you can be sued for hundreds of thousands of dollars for that event?
That's an accounting error.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. If you screw up by 1 penny on someone's change, in Virginia, you can be sued for unintentional fraud.
So it's a good thing the local cash registers now tell the kids how much change to give exactly, because they don't have to figure it out anymore.
That doesn't mean anything, Ray, because I was in a pizza place and the guy was giving me change, and he had no clue. Even though it told him how much, he couldn't even count it out.
Couldn't count it. Wow.
And I actually told him what he had to give me. because at first he gave me 2 quarters. It was something he was supposed to give me something like 36 cents, and he had no idea what the value of the change to give to me.
Wow, that's good.
And then the one thing that really got me upset was the owner of the pizza joint saw what was going on and said, "Hey, what's going on?" And I said, "He's, give me the wrong change." And he starts giving the kid a hard time. And I was like, "Wait a minute, buddy. Don't give the kid a hard time. At least show him and teach him instead of, belittling him in front of everybody like this." I said, "You're the one that hired him, and you should have at least known that he'd been able to do this."
Yeah.
Oh, but and they can't even change. They don't even know what the quarter or nickel or dime is. So
yeah.
The one that pisses me off the most is where people cannot turn left or right without an arrow. If it's just that circle, they don't know what to do.
Wow, yeah.
That's the one that drives me crazy.
Always see to the car on the right.
As they call it in South Carolina, that is invading the box. Wherever the hell that came from, it needs to go back, because I'm with you. When the light turns green, I'm taking control of the intersection. That's the way we were taught.
Well, luckily we're something big enough so we can take control. People get out of our way.
Well, I got more wheels than you do, Brian, but still, I get it.
Down here it's a mess, and Papa Squirrel was down here not too long ago. It depends on what part of town you're on. The arrows are all different. They come on at different times. And then you got people that don't know what to do without an arrow, or even when they can't read the signs. Sign tells you it's either arrow before the light or arrow after the light, or or the latest thing is, I don't know if y'all got this where y'all are at, but it's a blinking yellow arrow, and the sign even says yield to oncoming traffic, and people still don't know what to do. They'll sit there in a clear intersection and stare at that stupid thing blinking.
Yeah, they're waiting for it to turn solid green or something.
Yeah.
Oh, nudge him out.
Crazy stuff.
That's why I've been slow on building my Dodge back up, because that thing is 72 Dodge, big old hunk of steel. I'm worried I'll want to nudge him out the way.
Right.
Yeah, I want to put one of those mule bumpers on this new truck too. So give him some gentle persuasion.
Persuade him to move. So
I don't know how many of you work on brand new cars, and I try to avoid it. But a guy I know, he's got an almost brand new Ferrari, and he said, "I can't find anyone who will work on the Ferrari." And I said, "Sure, bring it in." It's got 17,000 miles on it, 17 fault codes, and the air conditioner is bad. It's damn near brand new. And so we ordered some refrigerant today for the air conditioning system. Has anybody priced new car refrigerant lately?
12 ounces, about $50.
How much?
About $50 to $60 for 12 ounces.
I need to buy it where you're buying it.
Well, Dan, was that 1234YF or? Yeah. Well, that's like, what is it, $81 a pound or whatever, something like that.
Oh, it's way more than that. It's about $70 for 8 ounces.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the can is only half a pound.
Hell, that was at Harbor Freight yesterday when I was buying. I needed some air fittings. I got to replace an airbag on the tractor. So the Harbor Freight down here had a couple of cans of it sitting there for like $86 for 12 ounces.
Yeah, but that was probably 123. I mean, that was 134A. That's a whole different story.
The 134A is cheap, right?
124A. It was the new stuff, Brian. It wasn't R12. I mean 134A. It was the new stuff. Because I didn't know when I saw it.
It's about that time you roll the window down.
So we had to do a headlight and and the air conditioner. Has anybody priced headlights lately?
The Not for a Ferrari. No.
Yeah,
Okay.
not for Ferrari.
So a headlight for a 2008 Lexus is $1,950, and the headlight for the Ferrari, from Ferrari, it's a little over $8,000, and on the secondhand market, it's $5,500 for one headlight.
Is
You
that
know,
an HID?
I can add to that because my son-in-law just told me today, and the Volvo XC that I gifted him, he said the mirror, the rear view mirror, this came off, and it didn't break, so he didn't know what to do. And well, you can do it back. I said, I'll look at the mirror. I'm finding mirror $855 for a rear view mirror. I'm gonna have a vanity mirror there.
Yeah, I don't know how people are fixing cars anymore. The prices are just stupid.
Yeah.
This particular car, and we're hoping it isn't an evaporator, but if it is, it's $8,000 for the evaporator.
Wow.
So I mean, how do you justify that? You know what I mean? Evaporators for a 69 Camaro are like, $189.
Yeah.
But for this car, it's the price of another car.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for the guy that owns it, and he's talking to me saying, what am I going to do? I can't afford to keep this car. And I'm like, well, probably shouldn't have bought a Ferrari.
Right.
Well, that was the problem. Now, I mean, I worked at Porsche 25 years ago, and it was great. I mean, like I said, the person can afford the car; they couldn't afford to fix it.
Yeah.
And that was that was over 25 years ago, because we get these cars in, and it was always classic, because you take a 928, the Nazi Corvette, and they would drive it into the ground because they couldn't buy it, and then you had some kid that came along and bought it for $5,000 because it was a Porsche, it was a 928 with a V8. He bring it to us, and we told him it needed $50,000 worth of work. And that was 25 years ago. So the stuff was ridiculous then. It's just that people had a little bit more money back then.
Yeah, I'll tell you, $50,000 today, like on a Ferrari, I don't know that would get you a driver's seat and a module. I was at Barrett Jackson about when I was in Arizona just a little over a year ago, and there was a Ferrari that had, it was a hybrid Ferrari. It had a bad battery cell. Anybody want to guess what it was going to cost? What Ferrari was going to charge to fix the battery in the car?
$35,000.
How much?
For the part.
Yeah, how much?
$35,000 for the part.
Nope.
65.
$500,000.
What?
Yep, I'm not kidding. It's $500,000 for the battery.
I was in my Tesla dealership. Tuesday. They had a Hummer in there. Not a Hummer. The trash can thing, the truck, and the Cybertruck. Yeah, there's an issue about, like, if you don't turn it off right, it stays on and it will kill the battery. And once they kill the battery can't recover. And he said that they had to put a battery. Of course, they had to tell the guy it wasn't covered under the warranty, and it was 30. Well, it was 28 and change, 28,000 for just the battery alone.
Yeah.
And that was one bank of it, because on the Cybertrucks, it's two banks of batteries that they have.
I know a Ferrari owner that would love to pay $28,000 for a battery.
All I can say is,
light a match, baby.
So my wife had a Chevy Volt, well, still does, and the battery in a Volt is very small. Like, you figure, the Tesla Model S has about 130 kilowatt battery. The battery in the Volt is 10 kilowatts of usable power. So, I mean, it's very small. And we had a cell go bad in the car. Chevrolet, just that is $21,000 for the 10 kilowatt battery.
Wow.
So, you know, it's still sitting on in the shop, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it because the scrap. But you can't even scrap a Volt because no one will take it because of the lithium-ion batteries.
You go buy a new slate for the cost of that battery.
Yeah.
Sounds like an LS swap's in your future.
That's your LS swap, Dan.
You know, that would be one hell of a fast Volt if you threw an LS in it.
Well,
There's they actually make a Hot Wheels. There's a Hot Wheels with the Volt that has a big generator sticking out of the hood. But I always joke about them being like an LS swap for one of those things.
Yeah. I don't know if there's enough room. That would be fun. You'd have to make it rear-wheel drive.
Yeah.
With the torch and your know-how, the room's no answer. Don't worry about it, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
347, 6 speed, and a 9-inch Ford. Fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ford 9. I think the differential weighs more than the car, though.
Well, definitely have a New York shuffle. Lean off to the side a little. It's all right.
Hey, gentlemen, I apologize, but my phone is at 10%, and I am too. I'm up at 5 o'clock, so it's a little after 10, and I haven't showered. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna call it a night.
That's awesome. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for coming
Absolutely.
in.
Yeah, nice seeing you, Dan.
Like that, but
come
I
back.
appreciate you. I'll give you. I'll text you tomorrow and see where we're at if we can do better.
Sounds good. All right, gentlemen, have a good night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
You too. Take care. Be safe.
Take care, Dan.
All right. Bye.
Dan's a cool dude.
Yeah, he's cool.
We were talking about parts. You know, I got the bucket. This is the bucket for the strut tower. I mean, the shock tower on the Mustang, and the bottom of it is rusted out on. This is that rust that I found unexpectedly. So I was looking through an older catalog, and this piece they were selling for $10.95 back, and it was like about 5 years old catalog, right? So I go online, put the part number in, and I see 71, and I started looking around at different places, and it's 79, 82, $116, crazy numbers. So I go back to the original catalog place that I looked at, and I started playing around, going through the pages. Never found a redhead. It was the one time that I looked on the internet and didn't find a female, but I was going along, and then I see this, it said, Mustang pocket for the shock towers, $18.95.
Wow.
So I clicked on it, and a picture came up, showed it, and I was like, wow. Let me, read it. 16 gauge steel, blah, 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 the whole 9 yards. So I go back to the other one, and it said, basically it said it had the same write-up. And I was like, man, I don't know. I don't like doing this. So I went over to the other one, clicked bottom, and said, well, we'll see what comes. And then I started reading, and the $71 ones were from Canada, made in Canada. These were USA.
Right. Boy, I tell you, Brian.
So that tariff, I guess the tariff thing on that.
It's real. But I tell you, man, give me a shear and a box break, and I'll make those for you in like.
Oh, well, I know that. Well, back in the day, I mean, I said I can make it, but for the price and the time.
Oh, for $18, sure.
Yeah. For the price and the time involved, I couldn't make it for. I mean, you got more time and money in it.
All right.
But I just thought that was interesting when we were talking about parts and prices.
I won't rewind the tape so you can hear what Justin said. I'll spare you that.
What did he say?
I can't tell you.
Come on, you ain't gonna hurt my feelings.
I say you don't need those shock towers anyway.
Oh,
Just get rid of them. Outsource the room.
Hey, I know, because I have a lot of the parts to eliminate, but I'm trying very hard not to cut them out. Yeah. I don't know. It might actually happen. So
we just finished up a 70 Cougar. We did that on the whole Heights kit. Man, it's so nice.
You know, Brian, you're talking about exactly. You know, I shared a video with Brian this week from the guy, the Wizard, whoever the fuck he is in Minnesota or whatever. Kansas. And you know, he was complaining about parts, wrongfully so, because he was saying he was working on a Mustang and he couldn't get a carburetor and he couldn't get a carburetor kit. And Canada, he called Canada and they refused to send it to him because of the tariffs. And he said, "I'll pay the tariff and the price of the kit. I have to have it," and they still wouldn't send it. And you can get this stuff in America. I have a couple of sites saved that are American based. So that's kind of the issue that like Brian's dealing with. But you know, and we're going to see more of that. I guess we're going to see more of it. But it's going to be it's going to pass. It's going to.
Yeah, I hope. But it was crazy when I saw it because, like I said, I was like, well, because that's like I said, this started the whole thing about. Well, maybe it's time. I'm just going to eliminate the shock tower. I'm just cut more off the car. I mean, just keep cutting. I mean,
hey, you should send Brian some pictures of that car, that Cougar you did.
You'll have
to
get some.
Like.
What looks like a bunch of open space is what it looks like.
I know.
It was a 70.
70? Yeah.
You ought to post it on Insta. I want to see him.
Yeah, they.
All right, guys, it's time for me to bail. I gotta get out of here.
All right, Jim.
Take care, Jim.
Good talking to you.
Take care, guys.
Good seeing you. Yeah, there's a guy. He picked one up. I guess the only thing that kind of scares me about doing it, I don't know. I know I can do it. It's just, but he had picked one up. He picked a beautiful 65 fastback up that somebody did that, and they welded. I mean, when they put in the center frame, the center mount, the cross member, they put it in crooked. So he had one wheel too close to the fender and then one wheel too close to the rear. And it was he showed me pictures. And there is the guy tried to move the fender around so it wasn't that noticeable, but luckily, like I say, you can't see both sides of the car at the same time. But he said that when he took it around, because this guy doesn't do any kind of work like that, and he took it to a handful of places, and nobody wanted to touch it because it was welded in wrong. So he ended up cutting it out himself. I was really surprised.
Yeah, I can't blame him.
He cut it out himself, and then he found somebody to come over and weld it in for him.
I mean, that's what happened with my friend Paul with the GTX when he did all his infrastructure work and the in or outer rockers and substructure and floor work, and then put the fender and door on, and they wouldn't meet and wouldn't close. And I brought my buddy TJ over, who's an old-fashioned body man, and he looked at it and said, "This car was hit. It was hit here in the cowl area." And Paul says, "Well, I know. I kind of, I worked on that." And he goes, "Yeah, but what you didn't address was," and he pointed to the other side of the car. He goes, "The other side of your tranny tunnel on the passenger side, it's kinked over there. The car needs a pull before you put those parts in." And what it meant was he had to cut all of that metal out, and it was finish welded. And it stalled our project. He made great strides, and it stalled it for about a year. And then he got back to it. And that's the car we just did the motor startup on this last week. So, we had to go back and cut it all out and buy all the metal again, which really hurt.
That's not cheap.
Yeah, mistakes like that are a game changer. But I'm glad that he got past it.
That's the only thing kind of, I don't know, like I said, me, for what I'm doing. And like I said, I can look at it 27 different ways to Sunday, and I'm just so afraid when I weld it that it's going to be wrong.
So, the other thing, Brian, is that guy, the video that I shared with you, there's this guy Vince, I sent it to you too. The guy down in Georgia with the Mustangs. I think this guy would be a good candidate for the shows. We get him on the show.
Yeah, he was up at the one the barn find guy.
Yeah.
I've watched him. He was up in Carlisle last week or the first show.
I mean, he's got a little bit of everything, and he seems to be very, very knowledgeable on the cars.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to the guy. I'd like to talk to the guy, but I need Vince's voice to talk to him. Because he'll understand Vince. He'll look at me and say, "Huh? What do you want, Yankee? Get out of here."
Hey, so guys, I need your help. Not your help, but if I'm heading towards Tennessee, I think, when I leave here. Actually, I'm gonna go eat dinner with Dan tomorrow. Then we're gonna start heading towards Tennessee to see Stacy. Do you know any places to stop? Car places. Always give me some ideas if I'm in a certain state, so I might be able to stop, see a shop, or
What part of Tennessee?
Wow, between the coast and Tennessee, that's a lot of territory.
Yeah, he's in North Tennessee, like
not
Knoxville.
Not
Knoxville. Wait a minute.
He's not in Knoxville. He's just outside of Nashville, I think.
Nashville, yeah. Just north of Nashville.
We were down in near Chattanooga, actually in Chattanooga for when the kids were on spring break, and we stopped at the Coker Museum. That was a cool stop.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's the Coker Museum and Honest Charlie Speed Shop. So we got to tour all that stuff, and that was pretty cool.
Boy, if I knew you were down there, I could have had you check something out for me. They bought the wheel company of the wheels I have on my car. I'd like to replace one of them. They list it on their site as they list the brand on their site, but they don't list any products. And I'd like to find a wheel. I should probably just call them up, I guess.
Can you post?
I did see him, actually. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but I did see him.
Can you post that on the chat when you get a chance? Yeah, if anybody thinks of anything like that, just put it in the Facebook chat, and I'll keep my eye on it.
I know
what's that KZs for sale, you said, Lewis?
Yeah, have you seen the KZs for sale? Or Hayabusas?
Turbo Hayabusas?
My wife ain't going for it, man. I'm trying. But a KZ, let me know.
Yeah, I showed Ray his dream bike the other day.
You don't have to show me. It's in my head. I see it. I can close my eyes and see it.
What bike? ZR, what was it? ZR1?
Z1R. The Cowie Z1R. Yeah.
My buddy in Charleston, Ray, had a guy come in with two of them, and goes, "I just want to get rid of them."
Wow.
And Ronnie, the owner of the shop, bought them immediately. Took all the parts. He built one for somebody else, and then he's the one I was telling you. He restored it, never started it up. I mean, it's box stock, like you just take it out the crate, and he's never started up since he rebuilt the engine, trans, the whole nine. I mean, it's factory fresh. And he goes, "I'll never start it." He goes, I restored it just to do it.
Yeah.
Just so I'd have one.
Yeah.
So, but he's one that held on to my KZ for so long when I had no place to put it.
Oh yeah.
So it was a bike shop at Cycle World in Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he's still there. I know he's about getting ready to retire. He's done playing with the squirrels, and like you said, everybody comes in and he goes, "I need this part," and he goes, "Okay, it'll be X number." "Oh, well, can you do this?" No, the price is the price. I'm not trying to rape you. The price is the price. Mm-hmm. "Oh, can you do better than that?" No, I gave you a good price. You didn't want it. Go away. Because he's not trying to rip anybody off, but he's just like, this is what it's worth. Go on eBay, or you can't find them on Scamazon or whatever. He goes, I priced it according to what the market is. I'm not trying to make $1 million. I'm not trying to give it away. I'm in business to make money.
Yep.
Just pay the money and take the part.
That's what I do. I never argued with him. because Ronnie and I had such a good relationship. I knew he wasn't trying to screw me over, but he's got time and he's got money in it. Like you said, pay him what it's worth.
I was speaking to my niece last night down in Charleston, and her younger daughter, I think she's 17 now, but she doesn't want to drive. She's kind of afraid to drive. And this kid is like, she walks around with combat boots. She's doing army training and all sorts of crazy stuff. But I said, bring her up here. I said, I'll put her on the streets of New York. I'll show her afraid to drive. So, and I taught my niece, her mom, how to drive, and my own kid. So I said, Amy, listen, I'm going to have to come down there, and I'm going to have to take her for some driving lessons. And she goes, oh, my God, if you would do that, it'd be so great. So I may find myself down in that neck of the woods. I'll have to stop in and see if your buddy is still in business.
Well, call me, Ray, and I'll run over there and we can do tacos or something. Or they Baja Tacos. There's a little place, Mex One. They do a Baja style tacos and stuff and all.
Are you that close to just run over to Charleston?
It's only 120 miles.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
2 hours.
I'll let you know if
Ray, I was up at 4 o'clock this morning, was in the truck by 6, drove 5.5 hours. They offloaded it, and I drove 5.5 hours back. I walked in, fed the cats, clicked the thing on, and here I am.
Wow.
So I got 11 hours that I've already driven today. So
part of the gig, right?
That's it. I got a new truck to pay for, or new to me truck.
Yeah.
Have you speaking of, said you did the Heights kit on that Cougar. Have you looked at the AJE stuff?
I haven't, but I've heard about it.
I talked to Heights about doing a kit for my Cyclones, and call me crazy, whatever. I had you know what I mean? I couldn't pull the trigger. I talked to the guy at AJE. His name is Anthony, or, as Ray would call him, Anthony. At AJE, he laid it all out. I've looked online. I bought his kit. Flaming River rack, the whole 9 yards, and does a cradle system for my car. And when talking with him, he says we were at a trade show. I can't remember. I don't think he said it was PRI, but he said we were at a trade show. We basically drove a car in, put the kit on it with the motor in the car, and drove it back out by the end of the trade show. He goes, just to show it could be done. He goes, it was a pain in the ass, but we were just to show it can be done without pulling the motor.
Nice.
And this is the kit that I have on my car. I can put an FE in it, a 385 series, or a 380, because that's what's going in as 466, or a Godzilla. He goes, any of those will just drop right in once we pull the old. He goes, right. The hardest part with those old cars, as Ray can testify, is getting rid of all the old stock stuff that's been on there for 50 or 60 years. He says, once you get all that stuff cleaned out and stripped off, he goes, the rest of it is, you're putting on the new parts. He goes, that's all cakewalk then.
Yep, I throw it all in the trunk and tell the owner, all your old stuff's in the trunk of your car. You don't have a dumpster big enough. Take it out of here.
We have that problem, honestly. Like, people are like, okay, you got old parts. Well, yeah, I want them. That was a year ago. Like, yeah. All right, pick up your stuff or it's going in the dumpster.
So they go in the trunk of the car.
If you don't want it, that's fine. Tell us you don't want it. We'll get rid of it. Yeah. But
nope.
Throw it in the scrap dumpster.
Well, the problem is a lot of stuff is so greasy and oily and, it's disgusting.
I've never seen a junkyard care if it was greasy.
Yeah. Scrap guys are getting picky these days, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want clean scrap.
Yeah. Yeah, so some of the stuff is usable, but
what they say.
What's that, Vince?
I said people in hell want ice water is what my mom always used to say.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Hey, I got a question for you guys.
Yes, sir.
If you were going to buy a car to flip, what would it be? What would it be?
Something with a round roof so it'd really go over fast.
Yeah.
High speed, low drag.
I think as far as flipping a car, I would look and see what's going on like Facebook Marketplace or any one of those apps that are selling, and see what seems to be moving fast.
I say any
Toyotas or
Econo
Hondas?
mover, any Toyota,
Yeah.
Nissan, anything that's
Toyotas, Hondas. Stay away from the Nissans.
yeah. Well,
Nissans have
right.
all the Nissans. You stay away from the Ford, from the Chevrolets, because you're buying something that has, especially if it's a one of those 3.5 6 cylinders or the 2.4 or 2.5 or the 2.4
2.5.
the 2.5 four
Yeah.
cylinders. They have not like for anything. All those Fords, those Fiestas, and even the Expedition, not the Expedition, yeah, the Explorer,
Mm-hmm.
and the smaller one. What's the smaller one?
Escape.
Escape. Yeah. All those have nothing. They get to about 46 to 60,000 miles in between that range. They have nothing but transmission problems. And people are unloading those things. You buy it, think you're going to flip it, man, you're putting a transmission in it before you do anything.
Yeah.
Even the used car, the guy at the Ford dealership, the used car guy, doesn't even want those cars.
Yeah.
Because they all need transmissions. And then like the 35, you get one like one of those police interceptors, the police car things. They had those internal water pump leaks. You don't even know your water pump's leaking on those 3.5 motors. Dude,
I was on an auction looking at some police cars, and I noticed they had those small motors. I'm like, when did that start?
Oh, a while ago, but they all, but like I said, if you want, the only thing you got to watch out for the Toyotas and Hondas. Well, it's not the timing change, but they, like a Toyota, especially some Toyotas. I mean, they have sticky ring problems. They'll burn oil when they get in a higher The
4-cylinder engines, though.
Yeah, the 4-cylinder motors. They have some issues, but even my daughter's Camry, even though I've been dealing with her sticky ring problem. It's gotten better because at one point we were burning, I don't know, a quart of oil every 3 days or whatever. Wow. And I'm up to 2 weeks now.
That exhaust never saw any rust.
I had this, I had the same problem with my daughter's RAV4, 1 cylinder. I think it was cylinder 1 had some sticky rings, and through subsequent oil changes and just Marvel mystery oil each change.
Yeah.
And doing it a little earlier, I was able to free it up and cut that oil usage down by a lot, by a ton. But
hers is on the way, but she's got 170,000.
Yeah, hers had 100 something on it too.
170, and I got guys that'll say, because I tell them, they're like, "You ready to sell this?" Because they want to flip it, and I told them, I said, man, it's got the oil problem. And they kind of think, well, it's still clean, and it's a very desirable car,
right?
And you can flip them. Of course, they'll think they're going to get it from a song and a dance from me, and that ain't going to happen. But
try any seafoam in there.
Oh yeah, I've done that.
Seafoam, and that's like with my 5.3 in my truck. When I change the oil, it automatically gets a quart of Luke or the Marvel mystery oil.
Yeah,
5 quarts of oil and a quart of Marvels in it.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's come a long way. It's getting better, but like I said, eventually, I'm hoping that I don't know. I mean, it's just constant. But and then you go right along. You go right into these Chevrolets, dude. All these all these valve train problems and. It's really. I tell you, it's really hard to honestly flip a vehicle and think that you're going to make some money off of it, because I got a buddy that's been trying, or not trying, but he does it, and he gets the short end of the stick a lot. Because
if it was me, I'd get a short end of the stick every time, because there's nothing I've sold that's been worth anything.
it ain't like the old days. I mean, it ain't picking up the car. You know, back in the day when you pick up a $500 car and sell it for $1,500, and you didn't do anything to it.
You know,
made it grand.
My buddy Mike at the shop, he likes buying Crown Vics. He buys them from the police auction, and they're either detective cars or inspector cars, so that they're not RMPs, so they weren't beat to shit. They have carpets in them, and he's had about 5 or 6 of them that he bought, cleaned up, did a little bit of work, and flipped every single one of them, and did pretty well on those cars.
Yeah, but he's also buying a better car.
Yeah, well, he is. He stepped it up a little bit, and I mean, you'll get anybody who, from a guy who wants an XPD car to a car service guy. You know, those cars move real.
I have a story, but we can't be live.
Yeah, we should end it, Louis.
We're at that time, huh?
Kill our.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. All right, everybody. I'd like to thank Dan Short for giving me a beautiful tour, me and my wife, of his shop, Phantom Works. And I'd like to thank him for coming on tonight, and sharing some stuff with us. So if you want to see some more of his shop, check out Plan and Traffic on YouTube. In about a week or so, I'll have the whole interview and the show, or his shop that we filmed, up on YouTube. So check it out. And we do this every Thursday night at 9 o'clock Eastern time. So let all your people know that we might have special guests. And now that I'm out on the road, we'll be stopping in the different shops and different builders and manufacturers. So don't worry. We're going to be popping out some stuff. So thanks, everybody, and have a good night. I don't know why it didn't end. What's going on here? Did it end?
Where's the off button?